Welcome to Lancaster Community Television. My name is Ethan. I'm here with Mr. Micheal Peirce, a man who's educated, a family man, and a man who always travels on the road.
Thanks for having me, Ethan. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad you are too. May you tell me about your environment of living in the city of Philadelphia, which is the city of brotherly love?
That's right. I was born and raised in Philadelphia. I probably was there my first 18 to 20 years, and I did go to the Philadelphia public school system. It was a very exciting upbringing.
Yeah, speaking of Philadelphia, I have family in Philadelphia. I have two siblings that went there. One went to a private college, and one went to a public school, and they both enjoyed their journeys. And Philadelphia has plenty of environment, sightseeing, 76ers, the Flyers, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Philadelphia Phillies. And speaking of college education down there, may you tell me about your college education journey and the day you graduated to make your parents proud?
Upon graduating high school, I then entered at Penn State. It's now called Penn State Abington, but back then it was called Penn State Ogons. And my major was hotel and restaurant management. And then I stayed there for a little bit, where I actually made their basketball team, tried out, made their team, and then I transferred after that to Holy Family University and finished up switching my major to teaching and attaining my bachelor's degree.
You are quite the teacher in math and science. And speaking of basketball, you didn't play sports in school, but yet you made the team in college. But it seems to me like you took Southwest Airlines down to Florida and you became teaching down there.
Yes, my story then continued after graduating with a teacher's degree, and I moved down to South Florida, actually. I was originally in Broward County and then moved up to Palm Beach County, and I taught for about 6 or 7 years in the elementary school system, public school system again, before my journey then took another turn.
You ended up taking the Southwest Airlines back to Pennsylvania, and you saw a greater opportunity in the School District of Lancaster, where they appointed you the head coach of the girls basketball team and the athletic director. You have several girls who are now women that have went off to college and graduated, and you had plenty of undefeated seasons. May you tell me about that journey?
I was very fortunate to land at Lincoln Middle School. When I was hired, I was a little nervous. I didn't know much about Lancaster City. Actually, I knew nothing about it. But upon interviewing and then getting to know the city a little bit better, I fit right in, and it was a wonderful marriage. Being appointed the head coach from the start was a plus for the girls' basketball program. And then the athletic director, or which they call athletic manager, then came like 2-3 years later, and I've been there ever since.
Yeah, through you helped me get a job there. First it started with basketball, and then the track, and then football, and then pretty much we've been together for many years. And that job opportunity you gave me was a blessing, because I was going to college at Hack at the time and then transferred over to Millsville as a graduate. And now you have downsides to where you're just focusing on the athletic side of Lincoln Middle School. I remember there was Malia Taylor, there was Jaylene, there was Paris, Brooklyn, and many others. May you tell me about that special relationships you had with those girls and the athletes?
That's probably the biggest perk of being a coach, is you get to meet these young players. And in this case, it was young ladies. And yes, just to see them blossom, move on to high school. Most participate on their high school basketball teams, and some even played in college. And then the best is when you see them graduate with a degree from college and start their careers. It's an amazing, very rewardful situation as a coach.
Yeah, I remember Melissa and Kiara Ruiz, and they were on the team at the same time. And when they went to high school, they both graduated the same year. Kiara graduated in 3 years and ended up going to the same college at Central Penn College. And again, they graduated together, and that must have made you very proud to see the fruits of your labor and the seeds you invested into these student athletes to not only graduate, but also become a productive member of society.
Absolutely. Super proud of those two, and even to this day, I still do communicate with the both of them, and it was an amazing relationship. There's one point I do want to say, that I still do work as the sports director over at Lincoln, but I did change, I didn't mention this, I did change over to teaching at Reynolds Middle School. So now I get the best of two worlds. I can be a part of the Reynolds programs and cheer them on, as well as help direct the Lincoln programs and cheer on those athletes.
And then eventually you end up meeting a special woman in your life that you've been married to for several years. Her name is Jackie. May you tell us the story about how you first met her and eventually settled down?
Yep, we're actually coming up on 19 years this September, and I met her because I taught her children in Florida. And actually, it was a storybook ending. We met, went out a few times, and then things progressed. We got married, and then we both decided that moving back to Pennsylvania was the right move. And she did have two previous kids from another marriage, but again, it's just one big family, and it's just amazing.
Speaking of kids, you and her end up having two of your own together. One's in college and one's in the senior year of high school. There's Matt and Mikey, and they made you very proud as student athletes. One plays soccer, and the other one plays football, and pretty soon they're both going to be grown men. And will you tell us about how you became a supportive parent with their being student athletes?
Sure. Well, being a teacher and working a lot of hours, it was difficult, especially in the younger years, staying on top of my children and being a part of it. But we made it a point to make sure that if they were in some kind of club or organization, that my wife and I were a part of it. And I mean, all the way from Little League to wrestling, everything, and into the high school now. And it's just amazing. It does take a lot of time, and it's a lot of sacrifice, but both Michael and Matthew are absolutely worth that sacrifice for sure.
And eventually, you became married, you became a father, a husband, and grandfather. And right now, you're enjoying the years of being a grandfather. And, that's a role that's very significant, but at the same time, you get to do that on your time, along with your wife. May you tell me about some of the stories of your kids, grandkids?
Absolutely. Yes, the two children from my wife's first marriage, one of them did have kids, so, they're my step-grandkids, but again, all one big family. And they came up for a visit, and this summer, actually, and it was amazing. Just seeing younger kids again, having a high school kid and a college kid, there's no more, they're really not kids anymore. So it was an amazing, tremendously uplifting opportunity when they drove up from Florida to stay with us for 4 or 5 days, and all the kids, there were 5 of them, and I was on cloud 9.
Yeah, those grandkids, there's several of them, and I saw several of them last summer with you for the cookout and celebration of your son's graduation party, and it was a very great time there. This is my interview with Mr. Micheal Peirce, a man who's a father, a husband, an educator, and a positive role model. Thank you very much, Micheal.
Oh, thank you very much for having me, Ethan. I wish you all the best.